I'm on a quest to watch all the movies and TV shows about the tales of King Arthur and his knights. Let's check out everything that came out in the later 1970s. Perceval le Gallois is a French film from 1978. A singing chorus greets us to begin the story of Perceval. The young and ignorant Perceval comes across knights from the court of King Arthur and decides he must also become a knight. Thus, his journey begins. We watch many individual escapades, meeting both friends and foes. About a third of the way through, we also spend time following Sir Gawain and his adventures. And then abruptly end with the crucifixion of Jesus. Based on the 12th century story, Perceval, the Story of the Grail. Instead of a film, this feels more like a theatrical experience by bards telling us stories at a Renaissance fair. The chorus is always with us, narrating the story through song. About half the characters' dialogue is them narrating their own actions and thoughts, sometimes also in song. The props and sets are the same you would see in a high school play and reused many times. There is a lot of emphasis on religion and Jesus and very little magic. I almost gave up on it in the first few minutes when Perceval assaulted a girl and then it's brushed aside as he didn't know any better. But in the end, I'm glad I finished it. I can see the beauty in the songs and poetry and can appreciate a good singing bard. On the other hand, Perceval came off to me as a spoiled and honestly idiotic character who I never became very interested in. Overall, it didn't appeal to me, but I could easily see this being a Renaissance theater nerd's favorite movie. 140 minutes, rated 13+. The Legend of King Arthur is a British television series from 1979. Here we get to watch all the events of the classic fairy tale. The birth of Arthur, the sword and the stone, the Lady of the Lake, Merlin's magic, the Knights of the Round Table and their adventures, including the quest for the Holy Grail. We even get to watch the rarely shown story of the Lady of Shalott. The most prominent character is Morgane Le Fay, who stealthily from the background is always trying to bring about Arthur's downfall. Although this is a faithful retelling of the Arthurian stories from Le Morte to Arthur, the production design team set it in a more historically accurate setting of 500 AD, so it looks like a mix of the fairy tales we're used to, with ornate castles and chivalry, but with more tribal-looking costumes and no shining armor. There is a good mix of both magic and Christianity. This is officially one of my new favorite Arthurian series. I appreciated how the emphasis was not just on one person. So many of these beloved characters had screen time and depth. Even Morgane, although evil, had her reasons that, as an audience, we could understand. We spent a lot of time with Lancelot and Guinevere, but their love is much more innocent in this version, which was refreshing. I would definitely recommend it. 8 episodes, each about 30 minutes, not rated, but I think all ages is fine. The Boy Merlin is a British television show from 1979. Merlin is the illegitimate son of a princess, raised by a blacksmith and his wife. His foster grandmother has the gift of magic and, knowing her grandson's great destiny, tries to prepare him. The current Saxon king Vortigern learns about his powerful magic and makes trouble. How will the blacksmith and his family protect their kid when his destiny is so much bigger than them? This was a small spin-off series initially inspired by one episode from Shadows from 1975. This takes place a generation or two before the birth of Arthur, and overall the world seems to treat magic as something uncommon but normal. It's set in the more historically accurate setting of 500 AD-ish, so no shining armor. Lots of fun scenes of Merlin learning magic and no mention of Christianity. I want more! I loved watching young Merlin being raised by his loving adopted family and how he starts to realize his destiny. This was genuinely so much fun. There are times episodes skip ahead and you feel like you're missing scenes, probably due to budget. I would have watched many seasons worth of this. The special effects are rudimentary, but somehow made it more endearing. 6 episodes, each about 25 minutes. Not rated, but I think all ages is fine. King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table is a Japanese anime that ran from 1979 to 1980. This is an extremely loose interpretation of the classic Arthurian tales. Camelot is attacked. Thankfully, the young Prince Arthur is saved so that years later he can pull the sword from the stone and begin his adventures as King of Camelot. This means barely ever being in Camelot, and instead each episode our hot-headed king finds a different knight companion or rescues someone with his friends. This is quite the interesting and nonsensical setting. King Arthur is constantly referred to as the King of England, even though England as a concept would not have existed yet. There are tons of kings in this story. Nearly all his knights are sons of different nearby kings. The animation is not specific to any particular timeline, and while it's definitely inspired by the classic French knights in shining armor, there is some obvious anime flair thrown in. My opinion is heavily influenced by the fact I could only find the first 6 episodes of this in English, and the dub was bad. Like, we're talking 1980s Voltron dub bad. One of the knights is Tristan, who is not usually part of this story, but that's besides the point. They call him Tristran. And their most powerful enemy is the great witch Melissa. Okay, I need to get over it. Overall, fun show for kids, but would not recommend. I'm hoping the Japanese or even the French dub versions were better. 30 episodes, each about 25 minutes, rated for all ages. That's it for this main list. If you still can't get enough, I'm not including any of the time travel shenanigans series like movies based on Mark Twain's 1889 novel, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. If you're interested in those, you can check out the science fiction comedy film Unidentified Flying Oddball from 1979. Thank you so much for watching. Next time we'll be checking out everything from the 1980s. Happy watching!